slippery slope. It's not enough to please you. Pretty Caroline, oh, 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 stone cold stunner. She was a winner, started working at the dime. Oh, 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 surface of her mind. To count your blessings, cause it's town ain't fair, town ain't fair. They'll put you down and leave you there, don't make them scared. Yeah, it's the ugly truth. How they coming for you. Yeah, yeah, let's go. It's the missed opportunity train. It only comes on a very blue moon. Blink twice, and you missed it again. Waiting in line for the party to end. Guess you didn't get what they asked for. Not a genie in sight, that reality can't solve. There's no point to being careful. Learn the rules to the game before you lose your mental. Pretty Caroline, the stone cold stunner. She was a winner, started working at the dine. It serves as a reminder to count your blessings, cause this town ain't fair. They'll put you down and leave you there, don't make them scared. Yeah, that's the ugly truth. How they coming for you. Yeah, yeah,
East Coast always in me, Commonwealth, Lil Joe, getting love from my city. Yeah, I roll call for the DMV. In my own lane, you could still ride with me. Yeah.
Lord knows I made mistakes.
You want in, but it's too late.
I don't need your support just to know I'm important.
I will never sell myself short, cause I know you see me on the come up. Big girl with big dreams and big drip. Talk is cheap, but please dare me to run up. I'ma put my money where my mouth is. Talk a good game, I'm my alphabet. Even on my worst days, still an alphabet. Standing next to me, you gotta be an alphabet. 8 ball in your pocket, I'm your alphabet. Alphabet, baby.
Never really fit in, always felt like an alien.
I be in my own space of mine, making boss moves in my own time, and I
Got my own rise.
find me all alone. I'm on the road. I had to take a couple hits, a couple stones, but targets I don't ever miss. They wanna know.
Start to be me.
Let me give you this game for free. Know you see me on the come up. Big girl with big dreams and big drip. Talk is cheap, but please dare me to run up. I'ma put my money where my mouth is. Talk a good game, I'm my alphabet. Even on my worst days, still an alphabet. Standing next to me, you gotta be an alphabet. 8 ball in your pocket, I'm your alphabet. Yeah, alphabet, baby.
Monster, have you prepared for judgment unworthy?
These lands are ash and blood. And yet, in destruction, there is beauty. In pain, there is healing. And in darkness, there is hope.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another beautiful Smite update show. I'm Titan Dandy. Nice to see y'all again, and we're looking forward to talking about update 10.4, the Lightweaver. Super excited to have y'all, and super excited to be joined by two people that y'all know and love, Aggro and Lermy. Welcome to the show, y'all.
What up?
Y'all
Super excited to be here.
Excellent. I mean, of course you are. You got a new god to show off today, along with a lot of other things. We have a new crossover event with G.I. Joe. We have balance. We have all kinds of things to get into, and I think the best way to get into it is just to kick it right off. How about it?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Rock and roll. Well, the first thing we want to talk about is something that y'all, we talked about last update, and we're excited to kind of bring it back. The HUD, the brand new HUD, is coming back, but there are some changes this time. Y'all want to dive into that?
Yeah, I think obviously we were very excited to see that a lot of people did really like a lot of aspects of the HUD,
Yeah,
but
I like it
had
a lot.
our bumps along the way, so to speak. So obviously going through a lot of different improvements for the HUD and hearing that feedback was very, very valuable for us.
course.
And we're very excited to be reintroducing it here in the 10.4 update. But you also are getting a little bit more choice involved with
love
this
choice.
HUD. So now you can choose a toggle between the new and the old HUD in the settings. PC players will default to the newer HUD, and console players will default to the older HUD. So if you're a console player and you want that newer HUD update with all of its flexibility and all that kind of stuff, you can opt into that, but you aren't going to be forced into it, just so that you can ease your way kind of into using it as you get more and more comfortable.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. There's a lot of really good features in the new HUD, and we understand that everyone wants to play the game as comfortably as possible, but we just want to make sure that everyone can have the experience that they want to have.
Yeah, I agree. And as we re-release this, obviously y'all were there for the first time. Like we mentioned, there were some things that we had to work through. But we did that because of y'all's feedback, and I think I speak for all of us when I say, again, we're looking for that feedback. As we re-release, we're going to be continuing to look for ways we can improve this new HUD system and make the game truly an experience that you can love and enjoy. So
Exactly.
continue to provide that amazing feedback. Thank you for what you already provided, and I'm looking forward to using the new HUD again. I really liked it.
Oh, me
So-
too.
Yeah,
for
definitely
sure.
had some setups cooking that I'm
Oh,
excited
yeah.
to get back to.
The
for
map
sure.
right in the middle of the screen was perfect, map awareness was always on point.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
saw
that's a great idea.
some really crazy HUDs that I'd love to see it in practice. That's all I'm going to say.
Same. Gotta see those pro HUDs at you. So, all right, well, super cool. So from there, we're gonna dive into another exciting new thing. How about a G.I. Joe crossover event, huh?
Ooh.
Let's
Super awesome.
let's take a look at that. And welcome back from that. Super exciting. Absolutely love it. Incredible, incredible, incredible. And it's G.I. Joe, it's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely iconic name. We've got a lot of really awesome crossovers in Smite, and getting a lot more of these iconic IPs to work with our game has been really, really exciting. And G.I. Joe has been around for so long and has such a great storied history and so many really awesome characters. And to get a chance to see them brought to life in Smite has been really, really, really cool.
Yeah, let me tell you, as someone who had not known all that much about G.I. Joe before, when I told my dad that I got the chance to work on this, dude, he was so excited. I couldn't believe it. I had definitely seen some of the films before, but I have learned to have a new appreciation for G.I. Joe and all of its work around that, because it's just such a fun franchise.
Yeah, and again, an absolute classic. Well, much like you, I was somebody that I knew of it, but I only knew the basics. I was only a basic fan, but being able to talk to people who, I've seen pictures of people who have whole collections in their basement from the company.
Dude,
Like
our
with all
super
of our,
fans?
Yeah, with all of our crossovers.
Crazy.
We have super fans, and it's really cool seeing that energy come out, because, something that I think is really cool at Hirez is we'll pull we'll pull inspiration from any. It doesn't matter where you work. If you're not a skin designer, like they're gonna be like, hey, you know this a lot. Come talk to us. Let's work together on this. And seeing super fans come out of the company and be like, hey, I know everything about that. Always really cool to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so let's start looking at. We're gonna do some card art. Gonna go some in game for some.
I'm excited for this.
Let's start off with Baroness Neith.
Yeah, I mean, just an absolute slam dunk. Like the G.I. Joe characters just had so many great options, but I mean, come on, Baroness Neith is just like it works perfectly.
It does, absolute slam dunk. Also, I can't get over the nostalgia warning on the label there. That is so good.
So many fun little details just all across this crossover, and like you were talking about, you couldn't get over the details. I'm looking at that weapon there, that Cobra. Insanely detailed. I mean, that's probably my favorite part about this skin, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And also, like, this goes without saying, but with every crossover, it's really cool to see two logos next to each other, and Hirez being a logo I'm familiar with, right next to Hasbro.
Yep.
It's absolutely incredible to see. Like it gives me chills to know I was able to work on something like this. So super excited for this. Next on the list, we have Snake Eyes Susanoo.
Yeah, I mean, this is. When you think of G.I. Joe and like some of the coolest characters and the ones that everybody had the action figures of and all that kind of stuff, like Snake Eyes definitely near the top of that list. I mean,
he's that guy.
He's built different. Like, let's be real.
Completely built different, and like the way that the armor looks, it's just absolutely incredible design.
Yeah, in game, it is so cool. Like the effects and all that kind of stuff. The effects team, as always, putting in a ton of work, but in particular for these G.I. Joe skins, I think people are going to be really excited.
And like you said, with in-game, there are certain things you can only really appreciate in-game, so let's dive in with Snake Eyes Susanoo and get a look at it.
So excited for this one. Look at him.
Sneak in, being all ninja-like.
That's what he do.
Oh, look at the red slashes, dude. Even the basic attacks look sick.
Yep.
That's so awesome. And one of the things that you'll notice here about Snake Eyes is that he famously doesn't speak.
Yeah.
Nope.
Very
A lot of these non-verbals we had to get a little bit creative with, make sure that you can still tell that you're playing against Susanoo, but Snake Eyes Susanoo specifically.
Yeah, the vow of silence rings true in character creation, which is an interesting challenge for sure, but I'm proud of our team's work in doing that.
Yeah, that was when you're going to write some voice packs and it's like, okay, oh nice, I get to do Snake Eyes. Oh wait,
yeah,
what do I do for Snake Eyes? That was a fun challenge for us.
Yeah, you'll see a little bit later. We had a very fun creative solution with this one where he's actually talking to Scarlet, another one of our skins over the intercom, although he's not really talking. It's more so Scarlet talking to him and relaying all the information that he's got to know for the Joe squad to really get in there.
That's really cool. Yeah, I can imagine for writing for this, it's exaggerated grunts, like just stuff like that.
No grunts.
No grunts either.
Right.
Yeah,
That's not
no
being
noise.
silent.
No noise at all.
Wow.
Yep.
Absolutely, we're breaking new ground here in the game design. That's
for sure.
Absolutely crazy. Well, super cool. Excited to see this one. Next up, let's go down to the Cobras and check out Cobra Commander Hu Yi.
Now this like pair of the Hu Yi skins are probably some of the coolest Hu Yi skins in the game, just because he's not using a bow.
Nope.
He's got a gun.
Yeah.
Who gave Hu Yi a gun? Who decided that was a good idea?
The Cobra Commander.
True.
Did. Yeah, Cobra
and a
Commander.
nefarious ploy.
Yes, another classic Cobra move here by the Cobra Commander. I mean, again, when you think of G.I. Joe and its iconic characters, like Cobra Commander, I mean, it is just obviously at the forefront of everybody's mind, and I think it turned out really, really well with Hu Yi.
I agree, and it's just the costume design too. Being able to see these famous costumes, see these nostalgic looks brought into Smite, always gives me chills. And again, I can never get over looking at these, and I want to go in game for this one too. So let's check it out in game.
Yo, look at him.
Look at that like partial cape, or what do you call that? Is that?
He's
I don't know
a little cape.
A little cape.
Little cape.
Little cape. Little
There you
guy.
go. Just a little cape. That's it. Yeah. Whenever we get to do these skins that really push the changes to the god, I think that's something that a lot of players get really excited for, and there will be a lot of players who love the feeling of this type of basic attack from a Hu Yi skin as opposed to some of his other skins, and I think that getting to we do these pretty infrequently because they are a lot more difficult and present a lot of art challenges and all that kind of stuff. But when we get the opportunity to do them, the team always really delivers, I think, and it feels really, really fun.
Yeah, this one certainly does deliver.
I certainly couldn't agree more. This looks really good, and I'm super excited to play against it, and just in general, see it in game.
Dude, the
I
little
love
flip,
these crossovers.
like,
and the jetpack too.
It's
right?
so stylish too.
It's so cool.
Look at him go.
Cool. You got Cobra Commander. You got that flair, like the
Oh, yeah.
dramatic. So
Oh yeah.
awesome. Well, next up, let's check out Scarlet Neath.
Oh, this one's so fun. I am a big Scarlet fan. I think she is just like the perfect, like, kind of go-getter boss lady, and she really loves to get it done. She's a no-nonsense kind of individual, and she really fits the Neath style well, I think. She has a lot of, acrobatics. She was trained to kind of be like that really talented fighter. Although she also has the brains to go behind it as well. She is, one of the more intelligence people. I forget exactly what they're called. But she does a lot of the reporting to Snake Eyes when he's out and about. But she's not afraid to get her hands dirty as well. So
yeah, I would say from what research I did as well, like not only is that all true, but I also learned that one, she is like so important that she has secret duties that not even the Joes know about. So like that's how crazy like in the work she is. She has stuff that even the Joes are like, listen, we don't know what she's got the secret missions.
you just trust her. She's
But
gonna get it done.
also, and Joe fans, correct me violently. I'm sure you will if I'm wrong. Pretty sure that she's a Georgia like she was born in Georgia. So
Ooh.
kind, as somebody who was
Represent.
born and raised like right up there. So gotta love somebody who represents. Let's go in game.
Yes, look at her and her very fancy crossbow that shoots
True.
out bolts of energy. Love it.
That is a
future
fancy crossbow for sure. You don't see those everywhere. Oh, the Joe logo
That's so
there.
cool.
That
Joe
is
logo.
that is so awesome. Love those little details, in the targeters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Always
but-
makes me regret playing on instant casts. For some of these
that's
abilities,
true.
you know?
You do
And you
lose
can
a bit of that.
check out
but-
the weave as well. Her passive has a fancy little bit in
Oh,
there,
that's
but this is a
That's
really
so
sick
cool.
ultimate. Wow. I actually didn't. I'm kind of an insta shooter.
Yeah.
Because people always tell me, "Hey, I need Ethel," and I'm like, "Okay, it's coming." And then they're like, "Where is it?" It has to come across the map.
What,
you
you're
know?
not just sitting in it all the time? That's,
No.
That's how mine
I
use
didn't
gameplay
pull an
works all the time.
Emilito, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah, you got to just sit there and
Yeah, all you have to do is get ult and then sit in base. You're done at that point.
Yep.
You're just global ult assist. So
That's all you have to do when you play Neath.
exactly, that's how I do it. That's nobody's ever complained. All right, well, cool. So next up, let's check out. How about we do Storm Shadow, Susano? Let's do that one.
This is another favorite of mine. Storm Shadow is a really interesting character because he has this kind of what's the conflict, internal conflict going on
Yeah.
between him and Snake Eyes, where they train together, so they're like friends. They want to look out for each other, but because of certain actions that happened in Storm Shadow's past, he got to be in Cobra, and so they have to fight against each other now. And Storm Shadow's not the happiest about that, but he will be loyal to Cobra for a while.
Yeah, that's super cool to see. And again, you love good writing like that. Like he does work with the bad guys, but it's not like he wants to. Like there are stakes for him. He has to do it.
Exactly.
So always makes for incredible writing and incredibly good art. I just love all of these. They're so they
These
have
are
that
so
nostalgia
sick.
trip. Yeah.
Yep,
So
so
we have
sick.
one more card art to look at that I'm super excited to show y'all, and that's Duke Hu Yi.
Yeah, Duke, really excited to add him to the lineup. I mean, definitely a big character throughout the G.I. Joe franchise and part of some pretty iconic moments there. And kind of like what Lermy was saying with Scarlet, where, on the surface it seems like, is he just default army guy? And it's like, no, he's got a lot of really interesting background and story. And he's master of many languages and really intelligent, as well as being a great leader and soldier. So really cool character here, and I think that just like Cobra Commander Duke Ho Yi looks so cool, like very unique feel in a really awesome way.
Yeah, and one you'll definitely have to see in game. We're not showing you that. We got to leave some surprise for y'all.
Yeah.
So another cool thing about him, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are just the facts I remember. The jump school he graduated at the top of his class from, also in Georgia.
Also in Georgia.
I just know
You
the
remember
Georgia
that one as
facts. So I would be so this is going to be an event coming. I kind of got so excited I skipped over the event talk. So you've seen similar events in the past. Y'all know how we do our events. They've got a lot of cool content, so we'll have those 6 skins that you just saw, as well as 2 really cool cosmetic packs you can get. So, and I would also I feel terrible if I didn't shout out an absolute legend, and Yannick Paquette, who did a lot of the art for this stuff. helped work on this, and absolutely incredible. Like comic legend, Yannick is. So Wonder Woman, One World, I believe. Like I'm excited, so I'm forgetting the names. I wrote everything down, but you know how it is. But Swamp Thing, like an incredible bunch of work. Won the Schuster Award for Outstanding Artist. Like absolute legend in comic book history, and did work for this. So absolutely huge shout out, absolutely incredible work, and we're really excited for all of y'all to get your hands on this event. It's something that a lot of people put a lot of passion into, as we tend to do, though. So because we just love doing things for y'all and love getting to work with all of these incredible IPs.
100%.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've talked about that, it's time to get into the into the business. Let's talk about some balance changes, shall we?
A little nitty-gritty time.
A little nitty-gritty time. All right. So we got the pros here, and we're going to start off talking with some blue buff change. So dive in. What happened to blue buff?
Lermy, you want blue buff?
Oh boy. All right. So we heard you, soul laners. We heard you. Since the change into year 10, we had to remove a little aspect of blue buff previously to incorporate the silver buff. And so we understand that has been the feedback that, we want blue buff to do something else other than give you mana. So we got you, soul laners. We got you. Now when you pick up the blue buff, enemy lane minions hit by your damaging abilities will now take an additional 5 true damage. But that's not all. Enemy jungle bosses hit by your damaging abilities will take an additional 3% of their current health in true damage. And then, of course, you got the subsequent hits clause, as always, when you have that extra damage. So your King Arthurs aren't doing a million billion damage to fire giants and whatever. So, but yeah, blue buff does something fun now. You do extra damage.
Yeah, I really wanted to, like Lermy said, losing that CDR component, lost a little bit of interest in blue buff, particularly as the game went on. But it's hard to put really game-changing effects on a buff because they aren't guaranteed.
Yes, exactly.
And so if your buff gets invaded, if you're losing gold and experience, which you always are, but then you're losing a very critical actual laning component, then it just starts to snowball a little bit too quickly. So we felt like this was a good spot to start it, where it's impactful in the early game, will help your clear. We might see different types of solo laners start to rise because they get this increased clear. But there's inherent risk involved in that because you might get your blue buff invaded. And then, of course, the enemy jungle bosses so that it scales throughout the game and is still relevant.
That's something that I think is really exciting because previously blue buff kind of has never really scaled to that kind of level where it is so important in the late game. So you could be seeing a lot more invades onto blue even into the late game, which I think is incredibly exciting with this change.
Especially with it being right next to Fire Giant, I think we could definitely see some interesting fights there.
Incredible. Well, that is one spicy change, but not to be overshadowed by the next spicy change we're going to talk about.
Why did I tell you to take blue? I should have taken blue. So
all right, mid laner, tell us what's up.
All right, well, we have game-wide percentage pin changes. Let's get into that.
Yes, let's get into that. So we've heard a lot of the talk about the state of the game and how fast people are dying. Obviously something that we're always keeping a big eye on. And we hear what the community is saying, and we feel it in the same way that they are. And this is something that we really think is a good step in the right direction. We're interested in hearing community feedback, and once you get your hands on it at PTS and once it goes live, if this is giving you the desired feeling that everyone is looking for. But percent pen being so ubiquitously available on items these days. It is on a variety of items, and we do like that it is more accessible than it used to be, where before it was just one-stop shop. You get your Titan's Bane or your Obsidian Shard, and you're done.
Yeah, that's it.
That created a lot of power spike issues and power curve issues. We think that by decreasing the overall cap from 40% to 32%, and then taking all of these 20% items and shifting them down to 16%, and all the 10% items down to 8%. So everything's moving down, but it's still the same value. 2 of the old 20% items will get you to the cap, just like they would have before. And they're still interacting in all the same ways, but just removing some of this penetration should address 2 things. Number one, late game death times, how fast people are dying, burst damage in the later stages of the game against every character. Because now there are a lot of auras in the game that give a lot of protections. Base protections are fairly high. This percent pen change will matter even against squishy characters. But we've also heard a lot of feedback from tank players that they aren't feeling impactful enough. Once we get to the late game stages. Their early game is feeling pretty strong. But once they get to late game, you buy your Spectral, which we'll talk about, you buy your other things, and they're still feeling like they take too much damage. We think that by reducing this pen cap, we can have them feel still impactful without adding damage to their kits, because that's
Exactly.
something that we've talked a lot about.
Yeah.
I think that overall we are pretty happy with the threat that frontliners impose on backline. How threatening via damage warriors and guardians are. We don't think that there is a huge issue in that space right now. Certainly, never perfect, but we don't think that that's going to be a system that we need to really dive deep in at this exact moment. How can we make them feel more effectively tanky without making them too tanky in the early, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
of
we're
course.
very interested to see how everyone feels about this percent pen change across the game. But in testing, I think it's felt really, really good.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
And slowed down that late game burst by a noticeable amount.
Yeah, and we tried it in a bunch of different roles. Because
Yes.
we tend to move all around the map when we're
Oh, yeah.
playtesting, making sure that we're hitting every single role. And so
Yep.
from a variety of them, it felt pretty decent. And like you said,
Good to
not so
hear.
much impacting the damage from squishies to squishies or tanks to squishies. It's more so that squishy to tank ratio, making sure the tanks are feeling impactful, not by their damage, but by their tankiness.
And even in those squishy versus squishy engagements, the burst damage is definitely noticeably
Yes.
affected
Okay.
by this type of change. So
For sure.
that's something we're also keeping an eye on, and you'll see some other changes towards that type of idea. But
Yeah.
we hear what the community is saying about late game burst damage against frontline and against backline, and we think that we've got a couple of really good plans in the pipeline in order to address that.
Yeah, and that sounds great. As a support player, for one thing, that sounds incredible because, I like being able to get in there and have these sustained engagements where
Right.
I agree. As a tank, I shouldn't be bursting down the back line, but being able to get in there and utilize my kit to either peel or to keep somebody still so that my damaging teammates can do what they need to sounds great. And even on those rare occasions that I play somebody squishy and damage dealy, having a little more time to survive so that you can do a little more skill expression. It's not
Exactly.
just I missed my jump or didn't dodge a stability, I'm out of the fight. It's a little more time to express that skill or develop that skill, I guess. Sounds super good to me.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. And
There's just a couple more points to this. So a couple of
Yeah.
those exception items that aren't really the 20%, 10%, 5%.
Yeah.
Being Executioner in Glyphs is seeing a decrease in its protection reduction. That includes Heavy Executioner also going down by a similar amount. Demonic Grip is also seeing that. And then we have a couple of shifts actually for Soul Eater and Atalantis that are no longer percent pen, and now they are just 10 flat pen each.
Nice.
So that should cap us off real nice
Yeah.
and easy.
cap us off really.
Pen
Yeah.
changes.
So I was gonna
Pen
say,
changes, there we go.
The 20 to 16 is Titan's Bane, Serrated Edge, Obsidian Shard, Karen's Coin, Typhon's Fang, Dominance. Like all of those are 20 to 16. And I mean, absolutely crazy the number of items there. And then the 10 to 8, like you said, the Crusher, Hydra's Lament, Heartseeker, Silver Branch, Fail Not, Demon Blade. Like so many items getting affected by this. It's a huge change, but like you said, I think this is going to be a really good direction. And obviously, I know how much y'all test. I always see y'all in there doing tests. So excited to see that. Excited to see the community get your hands on it and let us know what you think. Especially in PTS early on, and then as the patch goes live. But
Of course.
really cool. So was there anything else we needed to get into for the penetration, or
No,
you
I
think that
think
covers
got
us on
I think
pen.
that's it. So we're going to take pen, and we're going to put it over here. And
And
now I
then
move
some.
on.
to this box?
To tanks.
Kind of on the opposite side, yeah, to tanks. So let's talk about the tanks.
All right. So again, tanks have kind of been in an interesting spot, right? We want to make sure that they're feeling impactful throughout all parts of the game. So the
Yeah.
first
Yep.
part is specifically towards our solo laners, and I suppose our supports if you really are feeling like picking up Tainted Steel.
Hey.
So one thing is that, especially with the change to healing in the Season of Hope, we wanted to make sure that our anti-healing options are still feeling pretty okay.
Yeah.
And so we actually are changing this up just a little bit to increase the healing reduction on this from 15 to 20. And then you also get additional sustain from this item, going from healing 100% of what you anti-healed to 120% of that anti-healing. So you're going to be healing. Not only are you anti-healing more, but you're also healing more from that. So it's a pretty solid bump up to the sustain of that item,
That
where
is.
you might actually start feeling it now.
Yeah, with healing going down, stealing that healing doesn't feel quite as impactful because
Exactly.
the healing went down. So bringing that back up a little bit, I think, makes sense.
So you'll be feeling the stealing of the healing even more.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Got it. Super excited for that. I have a buddy who busts this item out every time we play Omnipotence, and he doesn't
It's worth
die
it.
ever.
Yeah, it does work.
So, all right, well, let's keep going down the tank line. Blessed Scepter, good old buff.
Yeah, this is the tier 1 of the new physical healer items.
Yeah.
it was just a little bit too expensive for what it was giving you. It was 700. It restricted your solo lane start options a little bit more than we would like. So that's just getting decreased by 50 gold. But the tier 2s are all going up by 50 gold in order to compensate for that. And that is very specifically for level 1 in Conquest, starting in solo with your solo starters, and making sure that feels like you can actually get the correct amount of potions and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Got it. All right.
Just
So
adjusting the start
a little bit of a fire sale first off, but they're making up for it in tier 2. So super cool. Tainted Amulet also having a bit of a change.
Walking this back a little bit to our other talk from Tainted Steel.
That's
this is just the upgrade. Just making it the same.
We just jumped through it a little bit. So, cool stuff to that. So Round Shield also getting a little stronger.
Yeah, Round Shield, again, kind of like Blessed Scepter, wasn't quite giving you enough, but instead of cost, we decided to just increase the stats a little bit on Round Shield, as those stats were not exactly wowing.
Yeah, a little bit of a polish just to get the shield back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, little more power for it.
And then Glad Shield kind of following the shield line.
Yeah, similar along those same lines. Glad Shield, is an item that has a storied history, to say the least. A lot of times in Smite's history where Glad Shield has been quite good.
Yeah.
I would not say that this is necessarily one of those times.
Fair.
And we didn't want to increase its offensive capabilities. That's something that we are very clearly monitoring and all that kind of stuff. So just wanted to give it a little bit more cost efficiency by dropping its cost and increasing its health, just making it a little bit more efficient for those guys that want to buy.
A little more bang for your buck.
Yep.
Super cool. So continuing the tank line, Archdruid's Fury also getting a buff.
And this was an item that we saw a lot in PTS.
It showed up.
A lot in the first patch of the year. We did do a couple of changes to it in the past that, decreased its effectiveness by what I would argue is quite a lot. Scientific term.
It's
so
coined.
we're doing a little bit extra adjustment to it to give it a little bit of its potency back. We're not trying to make it as crazy as it was when we initially released it.
We're not trying to make everyone have the worst day at their job or anything like that.
No.
But we are trying to make it a little bit better to increase, its chances of being picked up. So what we're doing for it is decreasing its cost because it was a little bit prohibitively expensive, and we're giving it just a little bit more passive damage in that component where you take damage and then you deal some back with your basic attack.
Again, as magical damage, not as
yes.
Not
changing the damage type. That's staying.
Still the magical damage.
Magical. Yes.
So it'll truly deal more magical damage.
Yep.
Don't quote me on that. All right. Well, cool. That kind of we're taking boxes, putting tanks over to the side. Now this box is just very, very individualized, very specific. Bloodforge getting a bit of a nerf.
Yeah, Bloodforge was kind of this for fun item for a long time, and then it messed around and got a bunch of buffs,
and then
it still didn't see play, and then it got a bunch more buffs, and then we ended up where Bloodforge is one of, if not the most popular item in the game right now. We're just going to decrease this physical power a little bit. That's still an item that we're looking at. A lot of this work for a patch goes in, and then there's a bunch of community discussion afterwards, and it's like, we wish we could do that this very second, but it might have to wait until
gotta give it a minute.
bonus or the next patch or however it works. But Bloodforge, for now, decreasing the cost, going to keep a close eye on it, and make sure that it's still not an outlier after this.
Got it. That sounds good. Yeah, you got to love when something kind of gets shadowed. Not even shadow patch. It's just people are like, we don't care. And then finally somebody picks it up and they're like, this is incredible.
Yes,
so,
that happens a lot.
Yeah, it definitely does.
You'd be surprised.
So,
Gods
cool,
especially.
Yeah, right. Cool. So let's move on Hocus Pocus into Mage Land.
Yeah.
Starting with Book of Thoth getting a little bit of a nerf, actually.
Yeah, so we've been loving the build diversity that we're seeing over in Mage Land, as you were talking about. However, when looking at the popularity of certain items, it seems like not all the builds have caught on. And there's still one that seems to be rising above the rest in terms of its popularity, and that is the library build, or buying every single item in the book tree.
Bookworm.
So our number one offender seems to be Book of Thoth here, which is one of the most, like you said it earlier, popular items in the game to buy as a mage.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we are taking back the mana. So we're not actually directly decreasing any of its power, but we are going to say, hey, you're not getting as much free mana for simply buying and stacking this item anymore. If you want to get that synergy, you're going to have to buy even more mana than you were before, or you're just, if you're buying the same build, it's going to be a little bit less effective overall.
Right.
But that also goes for the upgrade as well into Evolved Book of Thoth, just decreasing that from 1,000 mana to 775 overall, depending on that stack value.
Yeah, well, cool. I mean, bye-bye library build. Well, not really bye-bye, but like definitely tone it down a little bit because people be hitting them books, man. Smite, the game of readers. So next up, Tablet of Destiny is getting a little bit of a nerf as well, looks like.
Yeah, it's similar again, like Lermy said. We know that there's a lot of diversity in mage builds right now, but this was a build that we still felt like, especially at the casual level, we were seeing a little bit more than we wanted to.
Yeah.
And its power level was a bit higher than we wanted it to be. So just a small damage decrease on tablet, also fixing an issue where it wasn't dealing quite the correct amount of damage.
There were a couple small bugs there.
Yeah, just a few
Little
small tweaks.
tweaks.
Shouldn't be super noticeable, I don't think, but now it is working the way that we intended it to work, but now dealing 0.1% of your mana per stack.
Got it.
And not 0.12.
Excellent. Now, that is the last of the items, but before we move on, very important for both of y'all to answer this question. Is a tablet just an old-fashioned book?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah, we literally were like, what is an old-sounding book when we were naming that
Yeah,
item.
that actually is
Really?
it's
Yeah,
a Babylonian
that is-
item. So it's the first Babylonian item in Smite, which is very cool.
Lore. I was just asking as a joke, and we got a lore drop. All right,
There you
I'll
go.
keep trying for that. All right, so we're moving into gods now, and this
Ooh.
one's gotten a lot of chatter, especially since
Really?
the last update. Yeah, you'd
Are
be
you sure?
surprised to hear.
I don't think I've heard anything about
I
this
know,
guy.
No,
y'all
they're
don't
going to think
use-
you're serious. They're going to think you're
y'all don't use
serious.
Twitter, I understand, but Aphrodite getting a few nerfs coming out of this crazy healing patch. What's going on with Aphrodite?
Yeah, a few might be an understatement.
Yes.
I was trying to ease them into it, but all right,
Yeah.
more than a few.
So Aphrodite, had seen quite a lot of buffs to kind of get her ready for the Season of Hope with healing being decreased because she's one of those characters that really heavily relies
Yeah,
on
she
healing.
brought the heals.
But it turns out that when you buff Aphrodite in a bunch of ways, that she becomes the #1 most winningest god in every single game mode in the game. So that was something.
Little experiment, we figured out.
Someone's
anyway,
got to be #1.
Yeah.
it was Afro, and she was the leading lady a little bit. So
was.
she had to take the spotlight for a
True.
second, but we're making sure that she's not staying in the spotlight because
Yes.
we hear you guys. We
Yeah,
understand
she's
that
going
it can be
crazy.
a little bit frustrating. So let's actually talk about what's getting changed.
Let's get into
First
it.
things first, Kiss. This might have been the feedback that we heard the most, is that it's
Yes.
just giving too many protections.
Yeah.
So it's going down by 5% to her soulmate. Additionally, she's also giving less movement speed. So not only are you, the soulmate, less tanky, but you also will be moving less quickly, which is, not as fun for the soulmate, but good for everybody else.
Yeah, good
Yes.
for everybody else. Ooh.
Lovebirds as well is getting an increased cooldown by 2 seconds from 14 to 16. And we're also decreasing that CDR that you and allies are getting from 0.25 a tick to 0.2. And also the heal's going down because we also were looking at the healing of each individual healer that they were giving out. And Afro actually was doing a slight amount more than she used to by average. So we're taking that down just a smidge to make sure that she is still obeying the laws that we have set on healing.
the laws of not being the most incredible healer ever. So,
Exactly.
which I mean, you can still do it. I believe in y'all being the most incredible healer ever. You just have to work for it a little more now. So sorry.
Exactly.
Well, cool. So yeah, those are some big nerfs. Looking forward to that. Guan Yu next on the chopping block.
Yeah, Guan Yu, again, taking a look at a lot of these healers
Yeah.
that were heavily affected by the changes with the Season of Hope launch. Guan Yu, when looking at healing numbers in particular and how his win rate changed from pre-healing overhaul to post-healing overhaul, Guan's was one of the few heals in the game that already functioned in the way that we changed every other heal to work, where
Yeah.
it didn't scale off of power in any way. It only was just per level.
Yeah.
So with everyone else kind of being brought to his healing level, the buff that he got, and the new healing items, he was just ever so slightly overperforming. And we felt like this made sense to fit the overall messaging that we want to go for, which is we want everyone to be healing less, which he was, but not by quite enough.
Got it. Well, that makes sense. Excellent. Continuing down the path, Chernunos also getting a nerf.
This is another wonderful piece of feedback that we heard from the community is
That's
we're
right.
tired of seeing Chronos and Ishtar every game. And you know what? I'm only a little bit offended by that. But that's okay. That's okay. We're listening. So first up for Chronos. We had a lot of debates on what the best nerf for Chronos would be because
Yes.
he's one of those characters
Got a lot
that,
going on.
like Ishtar, has really solid clear.
Yeah.
And is really just good at clearing waves, clearing the jungle. That first wave pressure that he keeps is pretty good, and he scales very well into the late game. But the place where we landed was that Shifter of Seasons, specifically Autumn Decay, is now only going to reduce physical protections, because reducing both is, it's quite a bit of utility. When we looked at a lot of the other hunters in the class that also had this same style of protection reduction, it was only for physical characters and not for magical as well. So we thought that, okay, I mean, that's a good solid way for him to really only affect his damage and the other physical characters on his team and not so much benefit those other characters.
Yeah.
But additionally, that's not all. We've also just decreased that protection reduction by a very solid amount.
Especially early.
Yeah, early game.
Max rank, it's more or less the same. One protection is basically not noticeable. But this is also something that we heard from pro players, where CERN has been really, really popular for a long time now.
Yeah.
That they felt like this was a big contributing factor. So hopefully this opens up a little bit more pick variety in the SPL in particular.
Excellent. Well, you love to see it or hate to see it if you main CERN, but. Next up, I'm sorry, we got an Ishtar nerf. It's kind of a nerfy shift though, a little bit.
Yes,
so what's
exactly.
going on with Ishtar?
So Ishtar is another character that has really great clear. She does, a lot of pros will say she's the second best clear of all the hunters, right behind Izanami, which, wow, that's quite a jump to go from Izanami to Ishtar. But still, we want to make sure that feedback is heard. So we are adjusting Strike Shot, which is the first ability's first form, the circle lob shot.
Yeah.
The bonus damage is going down at rank 1, and it's scaling back up only ever so slightly above where it was before. So you're doing 1 extra damage per basic at rank 5, which a lot of people are not ranking this ability first, but you're doing 3 less at rank 1, where you're probably going to keep it for a lot of that early game where the clear is mattering. And that adds up when you're talking about the number of times that you're hitting over the wave. That 3 damage per minion as well, that's going to add up.
Yeah, it definitely stacks up. It's one of those things where it's crazy how you look at it and you're like, 3, like what a small number. But yeah, no, it builds up.
The numbers are surprisingly small looking, but they're big effectiveness having.
It's
speak very well.
It's like aiming a camera at something far away. Like you do a little bitty turn and it's like a mile has moved.
Exactly.
So absolutely crazy. So let's move on. Now we got a buff to talk about. Shock getting a little more muscular, huh?
Okay, so
He's
we
cooking.
talked about Afro and Guan and how we're taking a close look at them post Season of Hope launch, all that kind of stuff. We're also looking at the ones who are not the healers that were affected and are not performing to where we want them to.
Yeah.
And bringing some of those up. And Chalk is the first of that list. Chalk was a name that came up a lot in a lot of the Reddit threads and on Twitter. And we heard that feedback, waited to see what the data was saying.
Yeah.
Data supported a lot of that feedback. So Chalk's getting a very simple change and then a very spicy change. Not very spicy, I suppose. But
still.
Thunderstrike, this is the one. 10 more base damage at all ranks. We know that things like this help warriors a lot more than you think they do. And we felt like there was room for his damage to go up just a tiny bit, but with such a confirmable and easily hittable area, didn't want it to go too crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead, we're doing something a little fun with Rain Dance.
I love
So Rain Dance already slows in a big area, and attack speed slows in a pretty big area, and now it will also power reduce in a real big area. Enemy gods within that area now have their physical or magical power decreased by 10% while in the rainstorm.
He's kind of got a catch-all now of not only am I really good against base attackers, but I'm also really good against ability damage dealers.
Yeah, very good against teams that are immobile or want to stay grouped up. Chalk is going to do very well against those teams.
Fly in, rain, ult. Chalk is gonna be in there.
I love playing Chalk, and I am unbelievably excited.
I can
to play some
confirm
Chalk.
from being on the other side of it.
Chalk jungle, baby. That's what I'm about.
Chalk mid?
Ooh.
Chalk mid, yep, sign me up.
Time to see Chalk
Tank
everywhere.
Chalk? No, thank you. Damage Chalk? Yes. Please.
Yeah, damage Chalk. Sign me up.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's continue down the buff line with Camazot's getting a little buff.
Yeah, so Camazotz, again, was another character that was very heavily affected by the Season of Hope changes because his whole kit is healing more or less.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we tried to find an interesting way to spice things up for Camazotz other than, give him healing or give him damage. But that is going to start off with our spicy change, which is Screech. So before, any god that you hit with Screech, if you got that reflection, you're going to be able to see them. But now, revealed to the whole team. So it's not just Camazotz seeing things. Everybody's going to be seeing things.
Team-wide vision.
And it is not for a short time.
It's 15 seconds.
Yeah, 15
It
seconds.
is for a long time.
That is for, like, this many, but, like, times 3. So,
Yeah.
for
It's
those
a
of you
lot.
at home.
It's a lot.
Additionally, Vampire Bats, which is the 2, kind of hard to hit ability, but when you do hit it, we want to reward you for hitting that. So we're increasing the slow from 30% to 40%. And finally, Devour, the leap. The cooldown's just going to go down by 2 seconds. It's going to give him a little bit more of that healing, a little bit more of that juke potential.
Yeah.
It's not the longest leap in the world, so people will use it just to juke out things for the iframes.
Yeah.
So just giving you more opportunity to do things like that is going to be a really nice change for him.
Gotta love the chance for more skill expression.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
again, that's what it's all about for me. I love that kind of stuff. So excellent. Moving on to somebody else who's kind of revered for their healing prowess. Hel, but getting a bit of a buff.
Yeah, Hel buff here. I mean, Hel is one of those gods that, again, very dependent on her healing.
Yeah.
Not as strong as Afro necessarily with
No,
the
so we've
changes that
seen
she
recently.
received, but definitely a little bit closer. These buffs are meant to up her utility in terms of the stance attunement change, which is increasing that power debuff to nearby enemies while in light stance from 8% to 12%. Again, that's only once you reach max attunement, and we've definitely seen a lot less players sitting in light stance for the majority of the time. So really just helping that bottom end a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, the top end going up by quite a good amount as well, but we don't foresee players sitting in this stance a ton. And then Decay and Restoration getting a little bit more base damage just because, Afro has been shifted to this more supportive style of kit. Hel staying a little bit more damage and mid style of kit.
Yeah.
Was lacking just a little bit of damage in that damage mid style kit.
Yeah, just the slight tune-up to get it back on track.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, I know Ishtar's not going to be a fan of this one. Gilgamesh getting a buff.
Man, that's like a double Easter.
Yeah,
I know,
double.
right?
Well, Gilgamesh, he's not been too happy for the past couple of patches. He's after his bit of a stint in the jungle, we haven't seen quite a lot of him, but we want to encourage him to be a little bit more of a laner, and this change might actually do quite a bit for that. So Sunforged Scimitar, that's just one. When you activate it, there's a little pulse around you, bit of damage. Now that damage is going to be doing 25% increased damage to lane minions only on the initial pulse, and that is not the actual auto attacks that follow up.
Swing.
It is just the initial burst that happens. That damage is up by 25% to lane minions only.
Got it. So kind of a good solo buff.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
not a jungle buff.
Not a jungle buff.
Not a jungle buff. A solo buff.
Got it.
Yes.
Well, talking about buffs, Cthulhu also getting a buff.
Yeah, Cthulhu, probably not the first god that you would think gets heavily affected by healing, healing going down.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of his team fight utility, was getting into that ultimate and giving that big heal. With that going down, just went a little bit further than we wanted to in his stats. So increase the power reduction on Sever, which is the swipe when you're in the ultimate.
The swing.
That protection reduction is going up. Again, we hit his utility by reducing his healing.
Yeah.
So giving him back some utility in a slightly different way.
Got it. Yeah, and that makes sense. You got to balance the scale a little bit.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. Moving on, Charybdis also getting a bit of a buff, eh?
Yeah, this is just sort of, we're transitioning a little bit from our healing-related shifts to just general underperformers. So Charybdis, one of those. Unfortunately for her. She's such a sweet little lady, but not doing too hot in the Battleground, as it turns out. So when it comes to what she actually needs, Spike Shot is going to be having a decreased cooldown the more that you level it up. So if you're maxing this first, you're going to be getting it more often, which means that this other change to increase the tide that you get from hitting splinters is going to go up from 2% per hit to 3% per hit. So the more splinters you get, the more tide you're getting, the more times that your Spike Shot's up, the more tide you're getting, you're going to be maintaining that passive a little bit more. A little bit more to also contribute to that second ability as well.
Yeah, good little rinse repeat.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of those characters that I've loved since they released because I love that triple auto attack thing going on.
So cool.
Except
So
for when
fun.
I don't ever land any of them, and I'm like, 3 whiffs in a row. I'm gonna go back to base. So, all right. Well, continuing on, we got a Starket to talk about.
We sure do.
We got some buffs on
This
the
is
way
fun.
to talk
This is
about.
The
really
next
fun.
two
The next two are a little
fun. They're very fun. So the next two gods are similar in their nature in that they are gods that have historically had moments where they have been absolutely dominant.
Yeah.
But also historically very much struggled in the vast majority of players' hands. They're difficult to play. They require a lot, both mechanically and build-wise, in order to know how to succeed with them. And so we wanted to make these changes as a kind of a new direction for us. And we're excited to see what the community thinks about these types of changes because I think they're really, really exciting. So Serket in particular obviously has gone through a good amount of change, had her little shift around last year, has not seen the success that we were really hoping for from that. We want to push her into a more clear identity. You
Yes.
know, and one of the very unique things in Serket's kit is that she has an ability that can crit.
Yeah.
Very few gods in the game have something like that.
That's true.
We want to facilitate her being a crit assassin because she is so all in that she needs to get some payoff from that in order to really make that type of build work. But we know that giving free crit, specifically early game, is really, really it can
We've
get
seen it
dodgy
dangerous.
pretty quickly. You know,
Yeah,
it
it
can get
can be
dodgy
dangerous.
pretty quickly. So we're going with something a little spicy here, which is whenever you put a point into your ultimate. So Last Breath is now going to have a passive component that is not, tied to casting the ultimate. But for each point you have in your Last Breath, you gain some critical strike chance. This means that you won't have it at all pre-level 5.
Yeah.
You're not going to insta-clear your camp or anything like that. We've also removed a lot of the early crit, but then also introduced a way that crit is less likely to happen at lower percentages. It's not a true 10% if you want to read the dev blog that we did forever ago on how crit
that was a
is
while ago,
calculated.
man.
I encourage you to do so. But
Good read.
we think that something like this will give her clear, defined power spikes
Yeah.
and allow her to not have to build a ton of crit
Yeah.
in order for her to crit you.
Yeah,
We
build
still
diversity.
want, if she's getting free crit and doesn't need to build any crit items, that's probably something that we're going to look at.
Yeah.
But if this allows you to just splash one Deathbringer and then the rest can be, a Magi's, a Jotun's, these items that will allow you to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I think that would be really, really successful. So excited to see what players think, and specifically about these passive components that are kind of level gated behind being able to put points into your ultimate.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. And like you said, a spicy change. Interested to see the build diversity that comes out of this and just how Serket goes on. But as any Smite fan knows, you can't say Serket without saying teleporting robot. So next up we have Janice.
Is that something that we say?
I made it up right now. Back
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough, I suppose.
Well, we did talk about how they were similar, right? And how they fall into their similar, they take a lot of skill to really find success. And
That they
Giannis, that is Giannis's middle name, actually.
Yes.
If you look it
Yeah.
up in the dictionary, that's what it is.
Giannis
Anyway,
takes a lot of skill. Last name.
same idea here for Giannis. Through space and time, the ultimate is receiving a similar passive effect where every point that you put into Giannis's ultimate, he's going to get percent magical penetration equal to 8 up to 16%, and that will also contribute towards the cap. So
Yes.
you basically will be having half of the cap, more or less, for free once you level up that ultimate all the way.
Yeah.
Giannis is just a character that is heavily stat dependent.
Oh, yeah.
That character it is not a I hope, I'll get 10% CDR this game on Giannis. Like
You
if
need
you're
40.
getting 10% CDR on Giannis and losing a lot, that's almost certainly a big
Yeah,
contributing factor.
you know why. You should know
But in order to get enough CDR, that is such a massive build cost,
Yeah.
that it really forces you to commit so much of your build that you're going to miss out on some other stats. And something else that Giannis has historically really, really struggled with is killing tanks. Giannis has never, in his entire history, been a very
Been
good
a tank
killer.
shredder. Got
He
it.
doesn't do it very well. So we
built for that.
considered
Nah.
giving him CDR versus giving him pen. And CDR being a stat that you desperately need
Yeah.
and is so powerful on him felt a little bit riskier
Yeah.
than allowing him to be better at this thing that he's never going to be really that good at. Like
Yeah.
even with getting another 16% pen item, he's not going to be nearly as good at killing tanks as, Poseidon, Scylla, Nox,
Yeah.
Eset. Like go down the list. Every other mage is better at killing tanks than Giannis, even with this amount of pen. But it allows your build to be so much more flexible
Yeah, for sure.
and require so much less that we hope that this will allow Giannis players to find a little bit more success and remove some of that tension. That build tension is really good and really interesting, but when there's no correct answer, when the tension is so great that you can't really fulfill your requirements, it doesn't end up feeling very satisfying because there's no solution. So hopefully this allows Giannis to find a build path that works for him and still doesn't make him ubiquitously great.
Yeah.
We understand that this kit, he can't be the best mage in the game,
No.
right? With that type of kit, it can't be that way. But we think this will make him palatable.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. And the change makes sense. What is a magical resistant cloak to a guy who can walk through a wall? So
Nothing.
penetration. There you go.
Yep.
So cool. And that actually does it for our balance today. So thank you so much for tuning in for that part. I made it sound like the show is over. That's because I am basically dead on the inside. So super excited to continue moving through the show. We have plenty more to show y'all. Obviously, we haven't even seen the cool new god yet. And let's start off with seeing some of the skins that you can get ready for with the Lightweaver update.
Let's go.
Asina, general of the Oni army. Though my ancestors are of demonic origin, you will see no foul play from me. Warriors at once!
And who might you be? Another suitor attempting to garner my favor? Your soul belongs to me!
Performing on her debut tour, Charybdis! No more conformity. Let's create a tidal wave of change.
There will be danger. I can guarantee that. You're not worthy to be part of my crew. It's a big one! Reel 'em in!
Beans, anyone? Beans, they're good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. Your eggs are about to be scrambled.
Foolish mortals. I will invade their nightmares and bring chaos to this world. I am your wildest nightmare. You will fear me.
Who dares disturb my slumber? Gaze deeply into my eyes, and perhaps I may find a use for you after all.
A lot of cool things to see there, huh? So many awesome skins coming out the next update. And I just love these new videos we've been using. It's always so exciting to see. I love the new turnaround styles. So still have our two amazing guests here on the couch with me. And we got some cool stuff that we're going to be able to get into check out. Starting with Oni Adventurer Athena. So let's take a look at that one, shall we?
I love this theme.
It's
She
so
is
cool.
so badass.
The Oni theme is just so great to look at.
Yeah, and this card art, like, just the purple obviously standing out, but just so vibrant. And the action pose, like 10 out of 10.
It's so dynamic, right?
Yeah.
It really
She's
is.
getting in there.
Yep. You know she just landed from Defender of Olympus.
Oh,
That's true.
Right there.
That is literally hero
That's the
pose.
moment where she has arrived, for sure.
Well, let's check it out in game. How about it?
Absolutely.
Oh, there she is.
Of course,
that
you got to
was
start
so
off
cool.
with
Dude,
it.
the visuals for this skin are incredible. And not only that, but the sound effects as well are so fun. I look at that. She charged into a little portal.
I'll say the clouds too. Oh wow, that is so pretty looking. But no, like the clouds on the takeoff and landing are
Yeah,
where
right?
those blew me away a little bit.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say this on the Patch Note show, but this is her best skin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is insane.
This is absolutely incredible.
It's so good. Like, this color palette is just awesome. Like,
Yeah.
the design. This is absolutely the Athena skin I'm going to use from now until maybe forever. I don't know if we could ever do better than this. This is insane.
Oh, that's a tall order for our team, but you know they're going to take that challenge.
I know. They're going to take that personally.
But yeah, this is absolutely incredible to look at. And part of the Hope Reborn event, so for those of y'all who click the magic buy all button, gonna be yours as soon as the patch drops. If you didn't, don't worry, you can still get your hands on it through the Hope Reborn event. But that's not all. We have another Hope Reborn skin that I really want to show off, and that's I'm so excited for this one, Meowie Maui.
Yeah, so when immediately I got a bunch
good.
of tweets, like I saw, someone brought this idea up, and I was like, really, we're gonna do? I don't know if we're ever gonna do Meowie Maui. And then literally like that week in Slack, they were like, we're doing Meowie Maui, like, and I was like, it was because of this tweet, and they were like, oh, we just had that same idea. That's so crazy. I will admit, I was a little bit of a doubter just based on the name alone. My doubts have been silenced.
But
This
he's like
skin,
a swashbuckling
yes.
sea tiger captain. Like,
Right?
he looks sick.
No, he gets in there. Like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
card art is sick. The vibe that he has is sick. Everything about it, like, it's not cute, cuddly Maui, which is like would be fine. Like,
Yeah,
there's a place
worked,
for that. But like, he
but-
only has one skin. You kind of want those early skins to like set a tone. This is the tone that I want.
He's still kind of cute though.
Oh,
I'm sure he
yeah.
likes belly
I
rubs.
mean, you can't get away from it. But
Yeah, I mean, he's purring. Like
Also-
you give him scratches behind the ears, like he's happy.
you have to know that that's an incredibly brave and daring cat because it is a pirate cat. The whole
Yes.
cat-water dynamic there
true.
totally blown out of the water, if I may.
Yes.
So
You bet.
Ooh.
I know. I couldn't help but say it. I'm super excited about it, though. And also, like, the Kraken going on there. Is it?
He's hunting for his next meal.
I was about to say, it looks like he's got some calamari going on.
Oh yeah,
So super incredible. And this is the second Maui skin, right?
that's correct. Yep.
Okay, so that's really cool. So we will be hopping in game for this in just a moment.
Oh yes.
We gotta give him some second to brush up and set up.
Gotta do
so,
his thing.
But so why I need you to get into this now because I feel like people are curious. Why were you a doubter on this skin? Why would you doubt?
Well,
the cat?
it's like there's so many different ways that Meowie Maui can go.
That's true.
There's lots of different kinds of cats.
There's lots of different types of cats. Cats are all different and unique in their own very beautiful ways. And I just wasn't sure if the cute, cuddly Meowie would really I wasn't really he's swinging, he's doing all this cool action stuff. Does that really fit?
He is swinging and doing cool action stuff.
This is the cool action Meowie that works really, really well.
And you're right, I am seeing it now. Ooh. I love the look of that. Like, it's so distinct from the original skin.
Yeah, definitely a little bit taken to a different design almost of a little bit of a different vibe, but
Oh,
it
this is
fits
the
the skin
coolest
really
ability by far. Look at this. Oh,
Oh
It's
my!
like a big old basket of fish.
Yeah, the fact that the fish get to move on top of the island,
Yeah.
they're
is
flopping.
They're
so
flopping around. That's actually incredible.
so cool. And I remember when we were in Maui's development and talking about what the top of the island would look like in
Yeah.
this ultimate. That we had some discussions on well, if we do it like this, then we get to do some really fun, unique stuff with the skins. And big shout out to the teams that made it happen because there was a little bit of extra effort in order to get it to work in this way where the skins can do something a little bit unique and special, but obviously seeing it pay off here, it looks awesome.
Unbelievably so. And to go back on this whole Meowie Maui thing, the theming works so well because of all there was already the fish ability, tossing the allure, right?
Yep.
And all of the fish theming that this skin gets to employ is just so beautiful.
Yep. Big fan. 10 out of 10. Absolutely going to be rocking it.
So again, another one available through the Hope Reborn event. There is also one more skin that you won't be seeing today. You'll just have to check it out in either patch notes or when the patch goes live or PTS or wherever you get your Smite checking out done. But that will be Spectral Shifter the Morrigan. But we wanted y'all to be able to see that on your own. So check it out when you get the chance. The next thing we'll be peering at, however, is in Hope Reborn in the bonus patch. So this won't be coming out next week. This will be in the bonus patch. But we wanted to show y'all Vampetrify Medusa's card art.
So cool.
Absolutely, Vampire Medusa.
Vampire snake.
Can I just say that
Vampire
stained glass
snake.
is OP?
It's so cool.
That's true.
As an aesthetic, stained glass is just you can't lose when
You
you're
can't
talking
lose.
stained glass. It just adds an ambiance to whatever it's a part of that is really hard to beat. And yeah, I think it absolutely is a huge part of why I love this card art.
They're
Yeah.
kind of adjacent, vampires and gorgons. They kind of
Yep.
both want to lure you in with a bit of beauty and a bit of scariness at the same time. And I definitely get that vibe from her, where she's very beautiful. But the way that she's encouraging, to come closer and look at her, I think I might be turned to stone, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the fingernail's so long that it scares me.
I respect it. She's pulling a bow with that.
That's true. That is
true.
crazy to think
And not
about.
have broken a nail. That is
It looks like
actually
she doesn't miss
incredible.
very much based
No,
on
no, not at all.
this.
A lot of you're right though. A lot of crossovers because Gorgons turn you to stone. A vampire will suck all of your blood out, and then you're just a dry, withered husk. I don't know. I'm
Not too far off.
I'm just trying to draw lines in the sand here, one way or another, without making all the jokes that I want to make. The skin's incredible, and I love it. And we're gonna move on to, and y'all saw a bit of this earlier. Oh man, we're gonna check out Baba Bean's Baba Yaga. That's Baba Yaga.
with conviction.
Sorry, really from the chest. I know.
Sometimes you just have those moments of clarity where you're doing something at work and you're like, isn't it crazy that this is my job? I wonder if whoever wrote available in the baked beans chest had that moment. What does that mean? You know,
What
like
does that mean?
did they ever think that they'd be writing the baked beans chest? Like that is the funniest name for a chest we've ever used by
I think
far.
this is a Tina voice pack, and I bet
Oh,
Tina felt
100%.
the same way.
Oh, I bet Tina went wild. And I mean, y'all saw a lot of concept art if you watched the art show. Like, I remember seeing early stages of that chest art. This is the first time I'm seeing this art. But for the chest art, one of their options was like beans in a shoe.
Yeah.
And I was like, somebody got paid to be, beans, but in a tennis shoe.
Can we talk about the house then? Because
Yeah.
True. And it's undies.
Yeah, why does it have boxes?
Let's go in game while we talk about this. Let's look at this in game.
please. Oh, there it
We're in
is.
a baked bean can.
Just
Wait,
hanging out.
Did you see that the people were like holding up money to the
Yeah,
to the
they
bean?
want her
like,
beans, man.
yeah.
Imagine having baked beans so good that people are literally like throwing cash at you.
So
Like,
that's not what you do?
no.
Like her beans.
She's throwing
Oh my
beans.
God, this is so insane.
She's got the
We didn't ask to stop and see if we should.
No,
No.
no one was like, "Is this actually the right idea?" Everyone was like, "Yeah,
Yes.
we're doing this."
This was a bunch of people sitting in a room and being like, me and the other Smite designers at 2 a.m. looking for beans.
Yeah, bean
So-
time.
Have you seen I don't know how famous it is, but there was a gif of 4 Baba Yagas spelling out YOLO. That's how I feel right now looking at this skin.
I've not seen
I have
that.
not seen that. That sounds like an awesome gift.
Oh man.
Just
with the one.
it
But yeah.
Do we even have words here? I
No.
genuinely
No,
don't.
It's Bean Bayaga.
like I don't want it to seem like I don't love this skin.
No, we love
because I
this skin.
clearly
It's
love this skin.
Incredible.
But this is absurd, right? Like we can say that this is awesome and we love it and that people are going to really like it and that it's also crazy.
Oh no,
right?
it's,
We're allowed
it's
to say
cursed. It's
Okay.
so
I mean, it's Baba
incredibly
Yaga, right? It has to be a little bit crazy.
cursed. Yeah.
She's riding around in her bean can.
Sloshing around in the beans. You've never been up on like a Wednesday night at 4 a.m. just sloshing through the beans?
No,
Wow.
I gotta get myself a
Okay,
big old
can we
bucket.
look at this house really quick? Let's just take a look at some of the details here. It's got graffiti on it.
Right.
True.
The hands move around on the bean
Oh
side.
my gosh, they do.
There's a little smoke coming out of it. This is the most crazy
factory.
Baba house of all the Baba houses that we have, and we have like
It's
a
got a little
crazy.
face.
Oh my god! It's holding up its own body. What?
You see how nervous it was too? It was shifting away. It was.
Do you
a little
think that's
camera
a
shy.
giant bean with like hands?
I
don't
think
know.
it's a chicken.
It looks like a chicken because of the yellow.
It's got like
Those are the
chicken
yellow.
legs, right? That's like the lore of Baba Yaga, so I think it's like a chicken monster.
Oh. I was like, why is it a chicken? That is, I was so confused. Okay, if it's a lore reference, that's very
Yeah, it's a
very
lore
cool.
reference.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. That's very cool.
The
I'm about
artistic
that.
flair is obviously the underpants.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Nothing
sure
else.
that's part of the
There's
lore
no
story.
better way to do it, I think. And the small details on the can as well
Yeah.
are also incredibly
Nutritional
funny. It's
facts.
probably a little bit hard to read here, but there's
Oh, no, actually,
yums,
A lot of yums. Yep.
farts,
Okay, yeah.
A magical
sure.
fruit.
Lagoons.
tears,
Lagoon.
salty.
Yeah, 100% salty.
I admittedly, from this angle, from like the above angle, I thought that they were just artistic squiggles for the sake of
No,
it. Looks
there are
no,
words there.
as our team always does, actual filled out can. So, all right. Well, you thought we peaked with Athena, but I think we've peaked here. So I can't wait for burgers and beans and hot dogs to just be throwing it down in arena.
Yeah, if you thought the burger or like the fry burger like Xing Chen like was going crazy, like this is
This is
just-
next level.
It's next level.
It's doing it. It's built different.
It's absolutely beans. Well, super cool, and that's the last skin that we have to show off here, and a good one to end on, I think.
How could we ever follow that up?
Yeah,
You know?
as might have been mentioned, available in the baked beans chest.
Woo.
So
Yep.
if
Go
you're
get that baked beans chest.
baked.
Yep.
Tell all your friends to buy some baked beans.
Gotta
True.
go open a chest of the baked beans variety.
in Smite baked beans. Now that we've nailed that one in,
Yeah.
So real quick before we move on to the final segment of our show, which I know a lot of y'all have been waiting for, looking at a new goddess. Very quick quality of life update I'm excited to share. With the release of Chel, we figured, you know what? It's a little overdue. Updating the Maya Pantheon logo. So
Yes.
that will be happening with the next update as well. We figure Chel coming in, bringing all this new change in the Season of Hope.
Look at that.
What better way to what better time? So that will be updated as we move into this new update next week.
Yep.
So cool quality of life stuff. Well, without further ado, we have made it to a new God release. Let's watch a little video before we dive into it.
There are many stories about Chel, and her faces are as myriad as the phases of the moon. Among some tribes, she is known as the Great End or the Red Rainbow. Among others, she of the pale face. But she is perhaps best known as the Lady of the Rainbows. Whatever her sobriquet, Chel is a goddess of facets. The moon is within her purview and fertility as well. She is associated with life and medicine, but death walks in her shadow. All the colors of the rainbow are hers to command, but she weaves them into catastrophe for those who dare stand against her. She commands the storms to wash away those who anger her, but brings the rain to those who need it. But though her roles are many, she takes her responsibilities seriously. It is said that Chel was there at the beginning of the universe, and that her children, the Bacabs, took the form of jaguars to race to the edges of the world in order to hold it up. Chel herself often takes the form of a great jaguar to achieve her ends, such as when she fled her husband, the sun god, or made war on her enemies. With her spindle, she guides the motion of the universe, weaving together the formative elements of existence so that creation rises from destruction, and vice versa. But now, that ancient cycle is under threat. The pantheons are slow to confront the foe before them, and their petty rivalries and grievances endanger all that is. Thus it falls to Chel to paint a picture of hope and light the way to a new dawn, whatever the cost.
That new goddess, Chel. Super excited. We've actually, some of y'all, or a lot of y'all, hopefully, have seen some of this already, as we wanted to release some stuff early, you know? Y'all were able to see Chel at first when we kicked off the Season of Hope with the first update, and now that we've moved into our second update, we wanted to be able to give y'all a little more, and we enjoyed getting to tease some things early because we've been so excited about releasing this character, this excellent kit that was worked on, that we really couldn't help ourselves but to share some of this information. So without further ado, let's talk more about it with the designer. So Agro, what was the inspiration behind this?
Man, I mean, Chel has just been such a big community request for such a long time because she's a huge deal within the Mayan pantheon. You know, so many
Absolutely.
Really big figures there, but Chel really stood out. And then when you get into the Chel lore, you know, this is only the second god that I've been the point designer on, and so for Maui, it was like very clear. It was like, here's the stuff that Maui did. Here's what he's known for. You know, it's very easily translatable.
Yeah, his lore was the epic stories.
Exactly. With Chel, it was like, she's the goddess of the following 75 things. Like, she is known for all of these things and is really important for all of them. And I'm like, we can't do that. Like, that is not really a possibility. And so this design process was really unique, at least for me, in that a lot of times we kind of have this very set idea of, like, with Maui, we knew we wanted him to use the hook and be athletic. You know, like that was the idea. With Chel, it was like, what should we do?
Yeah,
you know?
what's
and
the path?
so initially not having that clear, I'm clearly going to do this part of her lore, really was an interesting and really fun challenge, because normally it's come up with a couple kits within your band, but I had the opportunity to talk about, you know, here's a kit that's really focused on light, which is obviously the direction we went. Here's a kit that's more focused on, you know, medicine or like nature, and kind of contrasting those ideas. But I'm really happy. You go in knowing which kit is your favorite.
Of course.
The light weaving kit was absolutely my favorite because, you know, we have Neith, who's a weaver goddess. You know, Arachne is very close to weaving. But this idea of manipulating light and using that and kind of separating light out into their individual strands and then using those as your weapon was really, really interesting to me, and felt like it filled a unique niche that we hadn't had even among the other weaver goddesses or, you know, Ra, you know, sunlight, and all that kind of stuff. Exactly. So I think that we always knew it was going to be a little bit, it's kind of a hard band to really nail down of like, yeah, she's using these colors as ribbons of light that she's then, weaving through and weaving together. But I think it's a huge credit to the animation team and the effects team and the tech art team in order to really sell this character fantasy of you have all of these colors at your disposal and she is constantly in motion, just using all of these things in a different order every time, a different setup, but always having something to do. I think really, really paid off in a really fun, unique way. I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Well, from what little I've seen, that does appear to be the case, and I'm excited to share more. So as we continue to do new fun things on the show, Lermy, you want to take us in game?
Let's go.
Let's go.
That's the stuff right there. There she is.
There she is. Rainbow in the background.
Yeah, I mean, the modeling team just, I'm going to gush about all the different teams who worked on eShell because like I said before, like the designers work very, very hard on the gods that they're taking point on. Absolutely. It's it's months worth of work. It's a huge focus.
Much work. Yeah.
But we definitely get too much credit for like, you did all of this. And I'm like, true. I didn't make Maui look awesome swinging on the hook. That was the animation team.
Yeah.
I didn't make eShell's effects look great. That was Shane on the effects team. Like, it takes so many people to really get involved and make sure that it's feeling the way it turns out. And yeah, I'm gonna shout out like a million people during this for sure. But
well, they all deserve the credit, and let's show off their work. Lermy, let's see this kit in action.
Yeah, let her rip.
All right, here we go.
Your end is here.
Yay.
Yeah, I think that would have killed him.
Yeah, shout out to that combo, by the way. You almost look like you've done that before.
Yeah,
only a couple times.
I've definitely gotten hit by that combo for sure.
A little gray screen simulator combo there.
Oh yeah.
So all right, well let's dive into it one step at a time. We got to start with the basics, and by that I mean basic attacks. So.
Not like Maui, where we pushed the envelope a little bit. Very standard.
Except for with the design. Look at those colors.
Well, yeah, of course. Visually, absolutely incredible. And I'm going to say his name a lot during this, but worked with Shane from the effects team on Maui.
Shout out to
Was lucky
Shane.
enough to work with him again for eShell. I think that he just continues to outdo himself. This was always going to be a very visually demanding kit. Mages usually are. It's a lot less physical animation, a lot more effects-driven stuff.
Of course.
And he really stepped up and I think absolutely went crazy on this god.
If there's anything that I feel like I can comfortably say about my coworkers here, it's that they're constantly setting the bar, and then the next time around, setting the bar again.
And surpassing it.
It's like they're building a ladder, you know. Every
Something
time
like
it's just
that.
another bar higher up. So let's keep moving with the passive Rainbow Weaver.
Yeah, so we wanted eShell because she is this combination of two different goddesses, Goddess
Yeah.
I and Goddess O. And they have, Goddess I is much more benevolent, and that's where a lot of the medicine and healing and all that kind of stuff comes from. We wanted her to have some utility aspects and some team play that is not just pure damage, but we wanted her to very clearly be a damage mid laner.
Okay.
Kind of think Baron Samdi, but less utility, more damage.
More damage. Got it.
And so her passive is the Rainbow Weaver. So every time she affects any god, whether it be herself, an ally, or an enemy, with an ability, she gains a stack, which is a color of the rainbow. And once you get to 6, which is the max number, you enter your passive state, which is this beautiful staff. Your passive icon is lit up, all that kind of stuff. And whenever you have your passive charged, your next basic attack will be wider, have no basic attack penalty, and deal bonus damage based on her magic power. So it's increased magical power skill on that next basic attack. And this is a passive that, we have a lot of mage passives that interact with basic attacks, like Agni and Nuwa.
Yeah.
But those are more centered around either, in Agni's case, basic attacking and then using abilities, or in Nuwa's case, all using your basic attacks to set up for your abilities. I wanted this ability to feel, or this passive to feel like I'm combining all of my abilities in this unique way every single time, and then when I enter my passive state, I just get to fling out this really quick little burst of damage and keep going in my combo. And it allows you to, it feels almost like an ability more than a passive, But I think that's a really fun design space to really explore are these passives that are really integrated throughout the kit, but then just have this one big burst effect, and then you feel like you've augmented what you did in a really, really fun way. And the basic just feels so fun to use. The animation team, this little spin they came up with, I think is absolutely awesome. And whenever you get to just toss one of these, and then when we get to the ultimate, you'll see how it interacts there. But it's pretty easy to quickly gain a lot of these because, as Lermy's showing, by hitting 3 Odins with this ability, you gain 3 stacks. So a lot of times with these abilities, we limit you to 1.
Yeah.
But we really wanted you to get rewarded for those big hits where you get, I hit a big knock-up or whatever it is, getting close to that passive. And then how it interacts with whenever you help yourself or help allies, I think really adds to the idea of this endless options along your endless color spectrum of ways to use your kit.
In the rainbow tapestry that is her combos and such, seeing you weave together those abilities with those auto attacks, it's going to be so cool to see people take that and adapt their style around that. So. Really excited for that. So let's get into ability 1, which kind of has 2 parts here. Part 1 being Gleaming Blast, part 2 being Threads of Light. So let's start with Gleaming Blast.
Yeah, so Lerm, maybe we take off the no cooldown here to show this one. So the AO1, if you would just fire it and not hit the Odin, is just a very simple line skill shot. It is one of the lowest base damage abilities in the mage class. It's basically, you can compare it to like a no corpse explosion
with one of the prettiest
from Opwash.
Targeters.
Yeah, can we talk about this for a second? Oh my god.
Again,
that's
FX.
FX.
Go nuts.
Yeah.
Shout out
praise to y'all. So sorry. Anyway, continue.
No, by all means. But we have these abilities in the game that I really like. Abilities like Screech from Kamazox.
Yeah, of course.
That give you this very simple presentation of hit this very clear, easy to understand line ability, get something in return.
Yeah.
And I also think that something like Yamoja, where she has 2 different variations of the AO1, that's super cool.
It is.
And we don't have that many instances of that. So kind of combining those 2 ideas, we came up with this Gleaming Blast into Threads of Light. So if you hit an enemy god with Gleaming Blast, your 1 switches to an entirely new ability and becomes this.
An amazing rainbow triangle.
The Threads of Light. This was Twitter. On Twitter.
We might have shown this one on Twitter a little bit.
It is one of the coolest looking abilities in the entire game, and the idea being that she separates the colors into each of the 6 that she uses, and they kind of spin together and then all blast at once. And enemies in the point there, you can see in the triangle in the preview, enemies that are hit by all the beams where they converge take a little bit of bonus damage, but this is damage in that area.
Got it.
And then any enemies, you got to spawn an Chel bot. Enemies that are facing the orbs when they detonate are blinded. I believe it's bot shoot 14.
I hope that I am in the right spot for this. We'll see.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, there we go.
So it is not raw blind exactly, because
not
raw blind is incredibly long. It lasts for 5 seconds, but it just fades out over time. We wanted to have something a little bit punchier, more like oh man, but then it's gone.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go with pure white light because we burned the retinas of all of our playtesters plenty of times. Hopefully, workers' comp covers the eye surgeries we need from
Odin's
that.
going to need some glasses, probably.
Absolutely. But it really does achieve this really fun effect where it is not like Loki AO2 that, is kind of a obfuscation more than
like
a true
a partial blind.
This is the second true blind in the game where it is going to fully remove everything from your screen. It is important to note that there are some differences between this and raw blind in that you can still you keep your HUD elements. That's something that Gods Made in 2012 are going to be different than Gods Made in 2023.
No,
I think this is the better way to implement the blind so that it feels like you still have some option. But overall, I'm really happy that blinds have been getting pitched. That's one of the top fan requests that we get all the time. When are we getting another blind? Shout out to my man F. Dot for every God brainstorm he was ever in with me. He pitched a blind for every single God,
one.
and I followed suit. And I'm happy to finally get one in here with Chel.
Aggro, hero of the people, champion of the people.
You say that until people get blinded and they hate it, and they're like, why did they add another blind? And you realize why we've done 2 blinds over 10 years.
Yeah, fair enough. So,
Yeah.
well, cool. Let's keep the train rolling. Lunar Invocation. I think we saw this one a little earlier. Literally space and the moon, if I'm not incorrect here.
Yeah, so again, of the million things that Chel is associated with, she is very closely associated with the moon. That is very much a goddess eye aspect of it.
Cool. Oh my god.
And we have a Willish in the same pantheon, right? Who is an aspect of the moon, moon goddess. And I was really thinking, like, it wouldn't make that much sense to not have any synergy with a Willish if she's in her pantheon using a moon ability.
Yeah, right.
She should be able to set up for a Willish, right? So
I hadn't even thought about it.
Yep, that was the whole idea behind this ability. So Chel places down a lunar summoning area, and it does nothing when you first deploy it. It fills to full. It goes from new moon to full moon,
which is
following
so
the crescent. Shout out to Ali from the animation team for making sure we were going the right way from right to left instead of left to right. And then once it detonates, it damages and knocks up enemies in the area.
Yeah.
And it will also heal any allies in the area. So that's where, when we say things like affects an ally with an ability, you can see Chel places it underneath her own feet, and her Odin, she gains 2 passive stacks because she would have healed herself and the Odin.
That's really cool.
It's not a huge heal. I would not she's going to be a lower tier healer in the assault tier list. She is not a tier 1 healer.
Not an Afro.
No, not an Afro, Hell, or Raw.
Yeah.
But it is it's a small burst heal that is nice, but not a core factor. Using it for the knock-up is really, when you can, that's going to be your stronger option.
Yeah, if you're like setting up, prepping for a team fight, and to top off some health pools, you got a few seconds, blow the heal, why not? But if you're getting ready to contest fire, you want to have that up. You want to save that for the offensive capability.
Exactly.
And she doesn't have a lot of defensive tools. This is one of her best defensive tools. If you're running away place it at your feet, if you place it at max range and continue to run, it will really pop right as you get into it. Or if you place it kind of halfway between you and max range, you can really get it so that you are in it as it explodes.
Yeah.
And if an assassin or a warrior is basic attacking you, it will knock them up and heal you as you kind of run through it.
Yeah.
You can place it in your way out, and it acts as a very good self-peel tool.
Yeah, they really have to make the choice. Do I follow, take the knock up, and keep trying? Do I completely back off? A lot of cool playstyle possibilities. Awesome. So let's get into the third ability, named Rainbow Crash.
Yeah, okay, so if she's a goddess of rainbows, right, and we're using a lot of light, she has to have a rainbow arc.
Of course.
That was just a non-negotiable for me from day one of selecting this kit. So she lobs out this arcing rainbow projectile, which again looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
It damages and roots enemies in that area, and then spawns these orbs of light that pop out, one for each of the 6 colors of the rainbow that we're using.
Yeah.
By the way, to get ahead of the 6 versus 7 colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv and all that kind of stuff, that was a long internal debate. We feel comfortable with the rainbow is an infinite spectrum of colors, right? There isn't one number of colors in the rainbow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And if we are going to be interacting with the colors of the rainbow as much as we wanted to in this kit, with the passive stacks, these orbs, the orbs on the BO1, all that kind of stuff, it is so much easier for our it just felt so much cleaner and looked better with 6 versus 7. So I respect my man Roy G. Biv, I do. But we felt that this was the better version.
Yeah, and like you said, take the color picker, click anywhere, click any 53 spots on a rainbow, you're gonna get different colors technically.
Infinite.
So so going with 6 it's fine.
It was the right decision for us artistically.
Yeah.
Anyways, the 6 orbs come out here, and this is something a little bit different. So obviously, you've got Discordia that kind of pops these orbs out from her one, but those are damaging for enemies. These orbs do no damage at all to anyone. And enemies, in fact, Lermy, if you have Chel shoot her 3.
This isn't going to make anyone run away, so we're good.
Yeah, you're good. You can really barely see them because they don't matter to you
ghostly
as an enemy. You don't have to interact with them. You won't absorb them, anything like that. It's for Chel and her allies because they gain movement speed upon absorbing these orbs of light. So again, going for that utility identity. Yeah, all your Odins are now stuck there. They've, I think that, oh, nice, there you go. Getting some of that utility and just tossing this out and having allies, you know, try and run to these orbs to grab them, it has been really fun.
Yeah.
Chel also gives herself movement speed on cast and then gets more movement speed on picking up an orb. So again, no traditional movement ability, but giving her some good self-peel tools with being able to put the 2 underneath her feet and giving herself some movement speed here with the AO3.
And you can only ever pick up one orb, right? So you're not ever stealing orbs from your teammates.
No, you can. If you've absorbed one, any further ones will pass right through you. So if you're right dead, you know, right there, dead in the center, you won't pick up a whole bunch of orbs all at once. Absorb them all. You'll just grab one and let your allies pick up the rest.
Yeah, well, man, not only is that ability so pretty watching all of those colors bounce around, but I like that all of the escape in this kit is built into how you utilize the other abilities. You know, it's very utility-based. I think that's really cool. Again, I'm a huge fan of skill expression, watching people show off how they take a kit that could be perceived 100 different ways and kind of ebb and flow with what they think is best for their situation. It makes for some of the best watching and some of the best feeling for Smite play for me. So really excited to see so much potential in this kit.
And real quick, because you're affecting an ally with an ability, if you pick up an orb or your ally picks up an orb, that's a passive stack.
Passive stack.
So again, ways to get your passive stack throughout the game by affecting your allies, not just your enemies.
Excellent. Well, this ability being called a rainbow crash, really cool. Kind of feels like you're getting punched in the face by a rainbow. A little more daunting title for the ultimate, Great End.
And another gorgeous targeter.
Another gorgeous
targeter.
God.
Unbelievably so.
Yes. Just 10 out of 10. Yeah, Great End. I knew that's what I wanted this ultimate to be called, regardless of what the ultimate ended up doing. Her name, in some translations, you know, her various names that she would go by, Great End was one of them. Yeah. And, like, that is so metal.
What a title.
That is so sick. Like, come on. Great End is just so sick.
Yeah.
And this ultimate has been unbelievably fun to use. So you go up into this channel. She's channeling this intense rainbow energy in that beam. It's a constantly ticking beam. You are freely able to move during this time, and I believe you do not have a backpedal penalty during this time. It also instantly charges your passive. And then there are two pretty unique ways to there are two pretty unique things that this ultimate does.
Okay.
So it obviously damages enemies with each tick.
Yeah.
It will heal allies that you hit, and if you're healing an ally, then Chel herself will also be healed.
Okay.
And that's a missing health heal. So it's stronger the lower your ally is or the lower that you are. But
great clutch heal.
Don't want it to feel like a free drain tool if she's healing from damaging enemies, all that kind of stuff. It just ended up being really potent in the 1v1.
Yeah.
In order to get the heal for yourself, you have to be selfless and heal an ally. But if you normally just channel the ultimate, it lasts for 3 seconds. And this little time wheel around the edge right there, right in front of where she's channeling it, displays your time remaining on the ultimate, which is very clear and looks great.
And very cool.
If you hit both an enemy and an ally with a tick, it doesn't count against your timer, so to speak, allowing you to cast this for up to a maximum of 6 seconds.
Ooh,
so you get to double your ultimate duration if you can line up your beam. It is not as easy as it sounds like it will be. It does end up, you know, these ticks are pretty quick. They are a little bit slower than a noob assault, but still pretty fast. But with people moving around and all that kind of stuff, but it allows you to make these huge game-changing ultimates happen.
Yeah,
but
especially in team play.
You really have to get used to how it's going to feel, how it's going to line up, all that kind of stuff. But it's been really, really fun to use. It's been one of my favorite ultimates to play with in a long time. And the other thing that we don't typically do, but I think really fits well in this ultimate, is that subsequent hits, normally we decrease their damage the more you get hit by something. But if you were just, if she was able to just death beam through a team fight and get big tick, and then the subsequent hits were littler ticks, that wouldn't feel very fair. It doesn't really feel the fantasy. Instead, hers are increasing in damage the more you hit a target. And so each tick that you hit is going to increase your damage by a little bit. If you miss some ticks, it will start counting back down. So you can kind of think of it as like a damage increase tracker.
Yeah.
And if you're hitting, and then you just like miss a couple, it'll slowly decay.
Back
and then if
down
you
and
start
then
hitting
back
again,
up.
you can start raising it back up.
Got
So
it.
it really rewards those players who are able to track really well, position really well. I mean, that is always a key factor in Mage gameplay is your positioning. This is me telling you, Mage players at home, stand behind your tanks. Behind your tanks. Because look at this. This is good, right?
You just go and go and go
You
and
get to
go.
heal. You get to do more damage. You get to heal yourself. All that kind of stuff. Stand behind them. Put them in between you and the enemy, and you're going to find yourself a lot more
You'll be
success.
good to go, yeah. An incredibly relatable ability, too. As a lifelong gamer, I find the longer I stand in the sun, the more damage I take, personally. So
Big retweet.
honestly, very realistic ability design. So, well, super cool. Yeah, I mean, we just went over a whole bunch of stuff. What a beautiful kit. I've been doing the update show for a long time, and I've shown off a lot of incredible gods, and I'm, Atlas still being my baby. But I have to give it to Chel. Oh, look at the rainbow. I have to give it to Chel. One of the prettiest hits I have ever seen. I mean, the colors are just so powerful. They stand out so much against, all the other colors that we have in the Battleground. It's unbelievable to look at.
I know I've already shouted about a bunch, but one last shout out to Shane, the effects artist.
Shane.
I'm sorry
To
for
Shane.
every time he'd be like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'd say, make it more colorful. I'm sorry. I know that was a pain.
That's great
but
feedback.
it was worth, I think it was really worth it. I think that her effects look incredible. Got to give a shout out to Allie, who was the animation point on this, but the whole animation team just did an
Shout out to
unbelievable
Allie too,
job.
then.
Because for
Nice.
me, for someone like Maui, who's very physical in what he's doing, even though he's a magical damage dealer.
Yeah.
Like, he's swinging, he's running, he's jumping into the air. For animating mages, like I feel like it's a little bit tougher, at least for me to give that direction, because the animation time is so short, and it's almost always projectiles or deployables, and so a lot of it is conveyed through effects. But they found a way to really integrate her personality and her feeling into these really small windows for animation, which is really, really hard to do. So big shout out to the animation team. I think they absolutely were incredible. The tech art team, of course, Brian, the lead programmer on Chel, was the same programmer that I worked with for Maui. Was super happy to be working with him again on Chel. I think that he saved us numerous times on stuff for her. So big shout out to him. And to Michaela or KD on the QA
KD,
team
woo.
for
KD,
catching
what?
an unbelievable amount of things, as she always does, and making the process a whole lot smoother. So, tech art, animation, programming, concept, everyone from top to bottom. I think that, like I said, designers, we do a lot of work. We put a lot of ourselves into these characters.
Yeah.
But it is never anywhere close to just us. That whole team really does the heavy lifting.
Yeah, I mean, I get to show off all of these things, but that is my job. There's an army of people who do an incredible amount of work for all of this stuff, and I love the shout-outs. I'm always there for it. So super excited. So as we do with God releases, we have a couple variety skins to show off right at the beginning. Crimson Light Chel, going to be one right available.
Oh, look at this art.
Yeah.
Hello, friend.
So cool. I mean, she's so in tune with nature, and jaguars in particular, a big part of her lore.
Sitting
She's
on a
got
snake like a couch.
Yep, she's got the snake headdress there. She's often depicted with a snake on her head.
Yeah.
But having this jaguar pattern, she
And the red.
in the lore, she births 4 jaguars that go to the 4 corners of the earth and hold it up there. So having that, I think, is really, really awesome there as a nod to her lore.
That's super incredible. I also love the hair. I didn't say this in game, but she has the best hair. All right.
Yeah. So, and to clarify, because I've seen some people talking about it, the shape is because it is a clip that she is using there on the bottom in order to hold the hair in that shape. It isn't, just magically, which is well within our license, in my opinion, for her to have hair that can just magically hold itself as a goddess. But it is clipped in that
There's a
way
clip.
because it's a crescent of the moon.
For those of you who are looking for cosplay opportunities, there's a clip. You're good.
Yeah, you're good.
You don't need to learn magic. So next up, we have the Ascended Chel skin, part of the Year 10 pass.
This art is just.
That is
She's scary.
dominating.
Great end,
Are those
indeed.
people on fire?
Well, if they are, they deserved it.
Yeah.
Because she is the judge, jury, and executioner. Yeah, I mean, come on. This color
Even
palette
more rainbow.
is just so good.
How could we do a rainbow goddess with a rainbow skin, you know?
Yeah,
do it.
you could not have not done that. Double
Yep.
negative there. Sorry. Man, that is so great looking.
Yeah, it looks absolutely awesome.
Again, I'm just a fan of vibrant colors, you know.
Hard to not
And
be.
absolutely excited for it. Let's check out the card art too. You know, just the plain old the default.
Yep.
Oh,
I say plain.
this
but
is
not at
so
all.
wonderful too. I just love all the little details, especially with all the background details. Like she has so many little priestesses just hanging out.
Yeah, and
doing
what
their stuff.
what a contrast too, because I think that's an important character tidbit as well. The fact that she kind of pivots between rainbows, the power of healing, somebody who brings a sunshiny day and rainbows in the sky, to being the great end, to be like the rainbows equally have the power to destroy you and everything you stand for if it's not just. So absolutely incredible. And we also have some masteries we can see here too.
Oh yeah.
In Mayan mythology, rainbows were sometimes not they weren't the fun, happy, oh great, it's a rainbow. It was like it was a threat.
It's a rainbow.
It was this is a bad omen of like this could turn ugly at any point if that's what's necessary. So really playing up that idea, I think was really fun.
I can imagine. And yeah, now we get to see the masteries too. So super exciting. And while we're looking at the masteries, time for me to call attention to something. When Marty came out, Martikaros came out, we kind of did a little impromptu race to diamond thing just for fun. We just thought it would be cool. And there were some people that really took to that. Y'all, turns out Lermy is not the only person who guns for diamond right away. We have some really excited people who love to get in and get their hands on these new gods and really get the kit filled out, get their wins, and get that diamond skin as quick as possible. So we're bringing back the race to diamond with Chel, except a little more formal this time. We wanted to give y'all a heads up instead of just dropping it for fun. So when Chel releases next week, we will be having a race to diamond. There will be more information on our socials, so keep your eyes on that, like Twitter and such. But there we'll have a prize for people who make it to diamond. Again, all of the specifics will be in Twitter, so keep your eye out for that. But we will be doing a race to diamond, so prepare yourself, prepare the snacks, take a day off, and get ready.
Good luck.
You're
You're gonna need it.
Yeah,
you are
Lermy,
gonna
you
need
taking
it.
Tuesday off this time so you don't lose?
I don't take Tuesday off, and I got on the Marty list, so
That's true. No, Lermy is an unprecedented
Fierce
grinder.
competitor right there.
For sure. Good luck.
Awesome. Well, that does it. What a beautiful update show, literally, because of Chel.
Yes.
So super excited for all of that, for the balance, with some spicy stuff there, for G.I. Joe, for the new HUD coming back. So to end it, I got a few things I got to say first. One, PTS, you'll know it, you'll love it. There's so much stuff we want y'all to test out with the HUD coming back, with the new goddess. We have all the stuff we want y'all to get in and get your hands on. So PTS will be actually happening, pretty sure today, actually. For PC, though. For console, you're going to have to wait till tomorrow, but we're still getting it to you as quickly as we can. But so that'll happen, and make sure to give us all that feedback. We will be on the prowl for all of the valuable feedback for all these changes, as we always are, because y'all are great at finding things that sometimes we can't. To continue going on, now here's a spicy thing, and we save this for the end of the show. For as long as I can remember and I've hosted these, the show has been on Wednesday. That's no longer going to happen. This is the last Wednesday update show. We're moving to Thursday.
Okay.
So we figure, it's something that we're going to try out. We internally, there are a lot of ways this is going to help us plan and make a better show and get prepared. Like, our production people have always put in a lot of hustle for this show to make it look as incredible as it does.
Yep.
And we think that it'll help us be more prepared, help them be more prepared, and hopefully all of y'all will be able to enjoy it too. And it's one day closer to the update release, so you'll watch the show, and then it'll be like 5 days until you get to play. So
That's so
super
crazy.
excited to announce update shows on Thursday, starting with the next update show. Keep your eye on that. And last but not least, to close up the show, I mean, we got to talk a little more about the balance, and we got two incredible people here to do it. So we will have the Dev Balance show coming right after the update show. So stick around if you have any questions or you want to get some more insight on the changes made, because we have two incredible people who are going to be talking about it with y'all.
Yep.
So
answering questions.
yeah, well, thank y'all so much for the incredible show today.
Thank you.
It was really fun, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with y'all more in the future. Until the next update show, I've been Titan Dandy, and I'll see you next time.
Peach it.
Nice to see y'all again, and we're looking forward to talking about Update 10.4, the Lightweaver. Super excited to have y'all, and super excited to be joined by two people that y'all know and love, Aggro and Lermy. Welcome to the show, y'all.
What up?
Y'all
Super excited to be here.
Excellent. I mean, of course you are. You got a new god to show off today, along with a lot of other things. We have a new crossover event with G.I. Joe. We have balance. We have all kinds of things to get into, and I think the best way to get into it is just to kick it right off. How about it?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Rock and roll. Well, the first thing we want to talk about is something that y'all, we talked about last update, and we're excited to kind of bring it back. The HUD, the brand new HUD, is coming back, but there are some changes this time. Y'all want to dive into that?
Yeah, I think obviously we were very excited to see that a lot of people did really like a lot of aspects of the HUD, but
I like
had our bumps along the way, so to speak. So obviously going through a lot of different improvements for the HUD, and hearing that feedback was very, very valuable for us. And we're very excited to be reintroducing it here in the 10.4 update. But you also are getting a little bit more choice involved with this HUD. So now you can choose a toggle between the new and the old HUD in the settings. PC players will default to the newer HUD, and console players will default to the older HUD. So if you're a console player and you want that newer HUD update with all of its flexibility and all that kind of stuff, you can opt into that, but you aren't going to be forced into it, just so that you can ease your way kind of into using it as you get more and more comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of really good features in the new HUD, and we understand that everyone wants to play the game as comfortably as possible, but we just want to make sure that everyone can have the experience that they want to have.
Yeah, I agree. And as we re-released this, obviously y'all were there for the first time. Like we mentioned, there were some things that we had to work through. But we did that because of y'all's feedback, and I think I speak for all of us when I say, again, we're looking for that feedback. As we re-release, we're going to be continuing to look for ways we can improve this new HUD system and make the game truly an experience that you can love and enjoy. So continue to provide that amazing feedback. Thank you for what you already provided, and I'm looking forward to using the new HUD again. I really liked it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, definitely had some setups cooking that I'm excited to get back to.
The map right in the middle of the screen was perfect. Map awareness was always on point.
Yeah, I saw some really crazy HUDs that I'd love to see it in practice. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, gotta see those pro HUDs at you. So, all right, well, super cool. So from there, we're gonna dive into another exciting new thing. How about a G.I. Joe crossover event?
Ooh.
Huh? Let's
super awesome.
Let's take a look at that. And welcome back from that. Super exciting. Absolutely love it. Incredible, incredible, incredible. And it's G.I. Joe, it's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely iconic name. We've got a lot of really awesome crossovers in Smite, and getting a lot more of these iconic IPs to work with our game has been really, really exciting. And G.I. Joe has been around for so long and has such a great storied history, and so many really awesome characters, and to get a chance to see them brought to life in Smite has been really, really, really cool.
Yeah, let me tell you, as someone who had not known all that much about G.I. Joe before, when I told my dad that I got the chance to work on this, dude, he was so excited. I couldn't believe it. I had definitely seen some of the films before, but I have learned to have a new appreciation for G.I. Joe and all of its work around that, because it's just such a fun franchise.
Yeah, and again, an absolute classic. Well, much like you, I was somebody that I knew of it, but I only knew the basics. I was only a basic fan. But being able to talk to people who, I've seen pictures of people who have whole collections in their basement from the company.
Dude, our super fans?
Yeah, with all of our crossovers.
Crazy.
We have super fans, and it's really cool seeing that energy come out, because, something that I think is really cool at Hirez is we'll pull inspiration from any. It doesn't matter where you work. If you're not a skin designer, they're gonna be like, hey, this a lot. Come talk to us. Let's work together on this. And seeing super fans come out of the company and be like, hey, I know everything about that. Always really cool to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so let's start looking at. We're gonna do some card art. Gonna go some in game for some.
I'm excited for this.
Let's start off with Baroness Neith.
Yeah, I mean, just an absolute slam dunk. Like the G.I. Joe characters just had so many great options, but I mean, come on, Baroness Neith is just like
Slam dunk.
it works perfectly.
It does. Absolute slam dunk. Also, I can't get over the nostalgia warning on the label there.
Yeah.
That is so good.
So many fun little details just all across this crossover. And like you were talking about, you couldn't get over the details. I'm looking at that weapon there, that Cobra, insanely detailed. I mean, that's probably my favorite part about this skin, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And also, like, this goes without saying, but with every crossover, it's really cool to see two logos next to each other, and Hirez being a logo I'm familiar with, right next to Hasbro.
Yep.
It's absolutely incredible to see. Like it gives me chills to know I was able to work on something like this. So super excited for this. Next on the list, we have Snake Eyes Susanoo.
Yeah, I mean, this is when you think of G.I. Joe and like some of the coolest characters and the ones that everybody had the action figures of and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Snake Eyes definitely near the top of that list. I mean,
He's that guy.
He's built different. Like, let's be real.
Completely built different, and like the way that the armor looks, it's just absolutely incredible design.
Yeah, in game, it is so cool. Like the effects and all that kind of stuff. The effects team, as always, putting in a ton of work, but in particular for these G.I. Joe skins, I think people are going to be really excited.
And like you said, with in-game, there are certain things you can only really appreciate in-game. So let's dive in with Snake Eyes Susanoo and get a look at it.
Ooh, so excited for this one. Look at him.
Sneak in, being all ninja-like.
That's what he do.
Oh, look at the red slashes, dude. Even the basic attacks look sick.
Yep.
That's so awesome. And one of the things that you'll notice here about Snake Eyes is that he famously doesn't speak.
Yeah.
Nope.
Very-
So
very-
a lot of these nonverbals we had to get a little bit creative with, make sure that you can still tell that you're playing against Susanoo, but Snake Eyes Susanoo specifically.
Yeah, the vow of silence rings true in character creation, which is an interesting challenge for sure, but I'm proud of our team's work in doing that.
Yeah, that was when you're going to write some voice packs and it's like, okay, oh nice, I get to do Snake Eyes. Oh wait,
Yeah.
what do I do for Snake Eyes? That was a fun challenge for us.
Yeah, you'll see a little bit later. We had a very fun creative solution with this one where he's actually talking to Scarlet, another one of our skins over the intercom, although he's not really talking. It's more so Scarlet talking to him and relaying all the information that he's got to know for the Joe squad to really get in there.
That's really cool. Yeah, I was just I can imagine for writing for this, it's exaggerated grunts, like just stuff like that.
No grunts.
No grunts either,
Right,
yeah.
even that's not
no
being
noise.
silent.
No noise at all.
Wow.
Yep.
Absolutely, we're breaking new ground here in the game design. That's
For sure.
Absolutely crazy. Well, super cool. Excited to see this one. Next up, let's go down to the Cobras and check out Cobra Commander Hu Yi.
Now this like pair of the Hu Yi skins are probably some of the coolest Hu Yi skins in the game, just because he's not using a bow.
Nope.
He's got a gun.
Yeah.
Who gave Hu Yi a gun? Who decided that was a good idea?
Gun.
The Cobra Commander.
True.
Did. Yeah, Cobra
And a
Commander.
nefarious ploy.
Yes, another classic Cobra move here by the Cobra Commander. I mean, again, when you think of G.I. Joe and its iconic characters, like Cobra Commander, I mean, is just obviously at the forefront of everybody's mind, and I think it turned out really, really well with Hu Yi.
I agree, and it's just the costume design too. Being able to
Oh, yeah.
see these famous costumes, see these nostalgic